In our original series, Las Jefas, we met 3 inspiring entrepreneurs and got to learn a lot about their businesses. The entrepreneur journey is one of ups and downs and twists and turns, and learning how to navigate this difficult terrain is exactly what our Jefas have been doing since we last met up with them. In our reunion roundtable talk, Las Jefas will share the struggles of scaling their business throughout the pandemic, the tough lessons learned, the resilience they've built, and the words of wisdom they've come to live by and share with the next generation. I'm Geneva Faye, and this is Las Jefas, a retrospective. I'm so excited to be sitting here, and to just be at the same table is very, very exciting. So I'm going to give them a chance to introduce themselves, and then we'll get into it.
Hi everyone, my name is Yamira Venegas. I'm the owner of Loquita Bath & Body. We're a bath and body brand inspired by our Latino culture, specializing in self-care and self-love.
My name is Brenda Equihua, and I'm the owner and designer of Equihua. We are a luxury brand based out of Los Angeles.
My name is Cynthia Gomez. I am the founder of Mex Vegana, a vegan Mexican food business which constituted of a pop-up, a food truck, and a restaurant.
What did your pop-ups look like?
At the beginning, it was just a little table and a tent and a plastic container full of conchas. And those orange Gatorade champurrados. And that was it. That was my pop-up. That's how I started. And people started asking for tamales or tortas, enchiladas, chilaquiles, then the food truck, and then a restaurant.
What was the driving force of that? Was it just because you had customers?
When I first went vegan, it was for ethical reasons. At the time, I had a dog, Robin, rest in peace. He was like my child, and I just always hated animal abuse. So I was like, no brainer, cold turkey went vegan after I saw this presentation. And I didn't really see anybody that was making vegan Mexican food authentic. There were some places that had vegan Mexican, but I wanted to taste stuff that was made by my mom or my grandma.
To be honest, all 3 of us here were trailblazers, at least for Latina entrepreneurs. There was nobody else doing anything like this. There was no Mexican vegan food. There was no cobija jacket or fashion going on. There was no Latino bath and body. And I took it upon myself to create something. I feel like when you're an entrepreneur, the first thing is innovation. What is not on the market that you need or you want? It could be from your culture. It could be just something household that you need, a toothbrush that reaches all the way in the back.
Yeah, I think for me, one of the main questions that I had asked myself was, why be a designer? What value do I have to add to this super oversaturated market of brands? And how can I take my lived experiences and also my professional experiences and create something that feels authentic and that could resonate with people that were like me, people like my friends and my community, and that is a reflection of the world that we live in, which I felt like there was not a lot of mirroring going on in the market, especially in the luxury world. And so that's where the cobijas made into jackets came in. I feel very lucky to have received this idea as a gift.
I am so glad that you mentioned that it was a gift that you received, because I've heard this idea where there's an idea that comes into your head, and if you don't take that idea and make something out of it, that idea goes to the next person. And then they get to choose whether they want to play on that idea and make something out of it or not. So the fact that you chose to take that gift, that idea, and make something tangible out of it, that's what makes you an entrepreneur.
So it's obviously been some time since we last saw each other. I'm so jealous that I was not on that set with you guys, but I'm glad that I'm here now. But I wanted to know, what has changed for your business since the last time we saw you?
Everything and nothing all at once. When you last saw me, I had my workroom where I would create and do everything at my house. Then I moved to a warehouse. From the warehouse, I decided this year to open a retail shop at the beginning of the year. And as of last month, I had to close the shop down. Unfortunately, I had problems with the landlord, and there was things that were out of my control. Just like in entrepreneurship, there's always things that are gonna be out of your control. All you can do is pivot what's the next step? So I moved back into my home, to my dedicated workroom, and I'm working from home again. But as much as I want to feel like I'm back at step one, it's almost like, I don't know if 3D chess is a thing or it's just something I saw on a TV show, but imagine like a chessboard with like three different layers. I'm on step one again, but on the second layer. I'm back at square one, but with the knowledge.
Okay.
So I'm not at the same place, but I am.
And that's awesome that you think of it that way, because it is so easy to think, oh my God, I'm back at square one. Like, how do I start again? Does anybody else feel that way? What has changed for you?
I feel like it's always about starting again. Like, you're always starting something new. You never have the same experience twice. So you're always kind of learning something that you wouldn't have learned before. Even if you're selling the same product and it's a different season. At least that's the way I see it, you know? But yeah, for me, the biggest thing that changed was the question of what's important.
Yeah, absolutely.
What is important? Is this that I'm selling worth the work I'm putting into it? I think in the beginning, I was saying yes to a lot of things, and a lot of things suffered because of that. I suffered because of that, and I lost a bit of myself in my business. And so this year, I've really been thinking about ways to approach my work and also have a life that is important, and trying to find the balance between the two, which is, it's mission impossible for everyone, but I've been a lot more conscious of having that in my thoughts throughout my day, and remember that you're a person. Like, you know, yes, have your work day. Yes, there's things going on that are stressful, but what are you gonna do for yourself today for Brenda? You know, and whether that's a 1 hour workout, or like, you know, cooking myself a meal, or going to salsa class, or playing basketball, like just trying to find more ways to nurture myself so that I can pour that back into my work as well. They kind of, you know, they can play off of each other. You know?
Yeah. That's something that we hear all the time, right? Like, when you work for yourself, you never really stop working. Yeah. Like, there is no 9 to 5. You've chosen not to have a 9 to 5, all of you. So your work is all the time. You are the work as well. Yeah. So it's great that you have a balance like that. Or that you're learning.
Yeah. I wish I could say I was totally successful in it, but
at least you tried.
Still work in progress.
What about for you? What has changed?
Oof. A lot has changed for me. Last time I saw y'all, it was maybe like 4 years ago, I think. And at the time, I know, so long.
So much has happened.
So much. You know, COVID happened. So that now. I'm a tia now. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, so COVID happened. And that was not ideal, especially because food trucks make money off of festivals, large events, right? So I had to transition to doing food kits at home, like delivery and stuff. And that was really tough. And so I ended up selling the food truck and leasing a restaurant. And that was really, really hard. A lot of people would be flaking on me, like my cashiers, my cooks, my dishwashers. So I had to be at the restaurant not even 9 a.m. I would have to wake up earlier to go shopping for produce, you know, and then I would get there, cook, do inventory, make the schedules. And then at the end of the day, I would have to do everything to close, wash the dishes, sweep, mop. Yeah. So that was the cycle that I found myself on for the last couple of months, last year. And life happened too. My grandpa, who was very close to me, passed away. And it stopped being about the food, right? And it was just like survival mode for me, getting through each day. And I just came to a point where, okay, I need to take care of myself, because if there's no Cynthia, there's no business, right?
Yeah.
So, I made the really hard decision of just closing the restaurant down and just taking some time to really look at what I was doing. So now I'm just focusing on myself, trying to figure out like if I want to pursue project management, which is what I was basically doing with the business, and just taking more time to figure out what other passions I have.
The thing is, like, being an entrepreneur is kind of like when you have those sticks and they're holding up plates and you have to spin all the plates all at once. Eventually, a plate is going to drop. And when one plate drops, all of them drop. And it's kind of like you have to be a well-oiled machine. But you get to a point where you're just driving yourself into the ground trying to be successful. But really, you have to take inventory. What is success? To me, success is getting those DMs from customers and they're like, I got your order in and it made my day so much better. And I appreciate the little note or the little extra thing that you put in there.
Yeah, and also like, I think what we tend to do as women, like I belittle my successes. Like I'll sometimes be like, I'm so thankful that happened to me without realizing that I actually put all that work in. That happened because I put the work in. We tend to make ourselves small or not celebrate when we do have successes, and we have to, right? Like you guys all owned or own businesses. That is very hard to do.
And sometimes the hustle culture makes it so that you don't really have time to process all of those wins because you're already moving on to the next thing.
Oh, yeah.
You know? So like a part of understanding your value is being able to sit with it and to be like, wow, this happened, this is beautiful, this is amazing, you know? And, like,
And I did that.
I did that,
worked
right?
hard.
But if you're just going and going, it's like you're just not processing like the building blocks.
I always would get a lot of anxiety, like, oh, I'm not doing enough, right? Like, I need to be doing more and more and more. One of the big lessons I learned was like, take your time, breathe, assess, because I felt a lot of pressure to move on from a pop-up to a food truck, right? Yeah. When I had the food truck, people would be like, oh, when is the restaurant coming? Yeah. And like now that I look back onto that, maybe I should have taken a little bit more time because I did feel like, oh, maybe a food truck isn't good enough, you know? Yeah. So that's definitely a big lesson learned. Just, there's time, you know, just breathe. Yeah. And you have nothing to prove to anybody. You know what you've done, and that's all that should matter, you know? Because people are gonna talk. You can't please everybody. Yeah. There's always gonna be somebody who's gonna be criticizing you.
Everybody's gonna be telling you different things. Okay, you opened up a food truck, so what's next?
When are you gonna launch this? When are you gonna launch that? And you're just like, you know, at the end of the day, you're the person that's responsible for the amount of work you give yourself to.
So I got a little cute question because I just would want to hear your answers. What do you love the most about being an entrepreneur?
Honestly, the freedom. I love that I can be at my office, I can play whatever music I want, I can break out and dance, I can go to lunch whenever I want, and like that I get to meet really freaking amazing people like you guys too. Like that's very inspiring to me, yeah.
And well, with freedom, the creativity, right, that you're allowed to show. I love being creative, whether that be through food. I would design my own graphics, I designed my own logo. So that was just like my outlet, my creativity outlet.
It's so enjoyable to bring something from an idea, like literally nothing tangible. It's just an idea. Maybe you sketch it out all the way to a finished product. And then to get the response, whether it's good or bad, it's like, wow, I did that.
I'm gonna reiterate again, you guys all did that. All of you did that. Now, what does it take to be an entrepreneur right now in 2022?
Passion, resilience, and grit. You have to truly be passionate about what you want to do. I had a lot of people approach me, oh, I want to start my own food business, you know, and I'd be like, okay, why? Why, you know? And they'd be like, oh, because I just want to sell tacos. And I'm like, but why? Like, there's like 500 other people already selling vegan tacos. Like, is there this recipe that you really want people to try? Or you want to make gluten-free tacos because that's something that you think that's in a market, right? And if they give me an answer that I think, wow, this person, I could see it in your eyes. You can see it in people's eyes when they're really passionate about it. And when I see that, I'm just like, you know what? It's gonna be really hard.
One of the most important things to ask yourself is, what is motivating me to be an entrepreneur? Is it money? Is it being independent? Is it creativity? So you need to know that so that then you can build a vision, because if you just want to be creative and be your own boss and you don't really care about like making a lot of money, then you build a different lifestyle and a different business model around that.
like you both said, why do you want to start this business? Because if you're starting the business just for money, sometimes that doesn't happen.
Yeah, and some of it honestly is luck, like just to put it out there, you know? Like you can have all those things and just not meet the right people, not connect with the proper audience. So like it's a little bit of everything, you know, and just being able to pivot. Like if it doesn't work, then if you really want to do it, then you just have to figure out, well, what do I need to change and how do I adapt? And
When you were first starting, did you receive any wisdom? Did anybody that you could look up to tell you something that really resonated with you? Do you remember what that was?
Échale ganas. And it's funny because people tell you that and they expect, oh, all the depression, all the self-doubt is just leaving my body.
But
And
it does. It's a very powerful statement.
if you're in the right mindset.
Yeah.
Sometimes you do have to tell yourself that every morning, like, échale ganas, it's okay, we got this. But sometimes they tell you that and expect it to be the end all, be all of advice.
So it's still that passion, though. It's still the passion, the vision, the grit, the resilience. You still have to think about that every single day.
Yeah.
That's what gets you out of bed every day.
Yes.
Yeah. Échale ganas. Yeah.
I feel like for me, the wisdom came more through observation. So because I worked in the industry for like over 15 years, watching other people like do what I do in like senior roles and director levels, and also like kind of more of the labor of it. It was more about like learning from all of the different roles and then adapting what I felt was relevant and what I felt, you know, could change or that I could do like better, and applying that to my business once I started it.
It's hard because I think as Latinas, maybe we didn't have role models, right? Like I got into my job as a filmmaker because I didn't see somebody like me, right? And now that I'm here though, I love mentoring. I love being able to give back. So I want to ask, like, what wisdom could you give the next person that maybe is, I'm sure people are looking up to you. What is your wisdom for that Latina or Latina?
Be in the moment. I think we take a lot of moments for granted, thinking that there's another moment that's going to be coming that might be better and bigger and mean more to us. But if you're in that moment and you take it and you soak it in, when you get to into a time where it's like a bad time, you can recall that memory and it inspires you to keep going. So really be in those moments, even in the day-to-day when you're like sitting and you're making yourself your cafecito. You get to make yourself that cafecito. Somebody's already on their drive to work. They don't get that luxury. Yeah. But you do.
Ask questions. Find somebody that you look up to. Email people. Don't be afraid to ask. You never know. The worst thing that they can do is just not reply. But somebody will reply to you. Somebody will answer your questions. And the internet is your friend. So.
And I think specifically with people from our community, like we understand that we are each other's teachers and like we are more vulnerable than a lot of other folks. Like people that come from, you know, BIPOC communities tend to be more open share because we understand like where we all kind of came from and what sort of resources we have and what spaces we've been able to be a part of and not. So I think we have more of a tendency to like go like to do knowledge share.
I feel like we're not the same generation as our parents, and we're leading the way for the next generation, because with our parents, you heard a lot, el enemigo de un latino es otro latino. But now with us, we share resources and we don't have a problem with that because we're building essentially generational wealth or generational education for the next generation. I want something better for my kids. I want them to succeed me and top me. Why not? Like, why does it have to end with me? I want better for the entire community. So while that was an old anecdote, an old way of thinking, we're not the same generation. And I want it to be even better for the next generation.
I agree. I don't want to gatekeep any of this information. Like, why? To hold you down? No, I want to uplift you.
I have so much advice to give. There's not enough time. But I think that for me, most importantly, be fearless. Even if you've never seen anyone like yourself doing it. Don't be afraid to fail. Don't be afraid to pivot. Don't be afraid to kick the door down.
All right, I have learned so much. I have absorbed so much from you ladies. So thank you so much for being here with us in this Las Jefas reunión. I see that all of you are fearless. So honestly, round of applause to you guys. Yeah. Thank you.